Welcome to this geography lecture series. In this lecture we are going to take about the dams. Dams, which is also a reason behind the human made disaster, that is the reason behind the earthquake, and recently it has been monitored that the most of the dams throughout the world is going to be cross their aging days. So what is this all scenario? Why is this was in the news? And what are the drawbacks and the benefit of the dams? All those things we will see in this lecture. So as per the report recently published in the newspaper, as per the report, around 58,700 large dams worldwide were constructed during 1930s and the 1970s with a design of 50 to 100 years. Now all those dams that were constructed in that period had already crossed their aging period, and somewhere are going to cross their aging period. So it means what, we have a huge number of dams that are going to be of no use, or if we are using it, it will be a reason behind another disaster. So what are all those things we will see in this lecture. Before moving ahead to this lecture, I will request you to please subscribe this channel. This is a new channel, so I really need your support. Further, I request you to please go through this channel till the end so that you will have a complete picture of the knowledge. Further, you will find in each that page and in the each slide you will get something new to know. So I will request you to please wait. If some slide is not relevant for you, skip the video for the next minute. You can go through all the relevant informations that you want. Will be something, maybe I've given you a script there and some important facts also in the ending of the video. So please stick to the lecture. So context from where this news has been emerged in the recent newspaper. So the report titled has been launched in the recent newspaper is known as the aging infrastructure of the dam. And I'm sorry, this slide is not working. Yeah, so the report titled aging infrastructure has been launched, and emerging global risk has been emerged due to this aging of the infrastructure, that of the dams. Like it has already crossed its years, like the 50 years of the lifetime or the 100 years of the lifetime. Like if any flat is constructed, normally the years of that flat is considered to be 100 years. Okay, so that is that emerging global risk is there, because throughout the world the development was going on and everybody was focused upon the electricity productions and the irrigations and all. They constructed the dams. So that's why in that report, that aging water infrastructure and emerging global risk is there, and it has been compiled by this infrastructure. This aging in water infrastructure report has been compiled by the United Nations Universities Canadian based institute worldwide were constructed between 1930 to the 1970. Okay, and right now we are in 2021. So the gaps, the lifetime, most of the dams have been crossed, or the most of the dams are going to be crossed. So that's why this is an emerging global risk, or either we have to rehabilitate those dams that have been constructed old, or we have to just remove that, we have to just destroy those dams, or it will become useless, because otherwise it will be a threat to the people who are living into those areas. It will threat to those local peoples are in those areas because of the floods and all. And what are the scenarios, what are the disasters had already happened due to this, we will see in this lecture. So first, a common definition, what do you understand by dam, that most of the people know, but for the clarity I have mentioned, a dam is a barrier that stops the flow of water. A barrier will be constructed. Let us suppose in that area this river is flowing. This barrier will be constructed across your river, and this barrier is used to check the rivers, that will hold that rivers, and it will use for its own purpose, like for the production of the electricity, or providing a maintenance. If the water capacity is being increased, this will help in checking the water capacity and let out the water flow to the outlet in a managed manner. Okay, so a dam is a barrier that stops the flow of water and results in the creation of this reservoir. Okay, and there will be hole after that. When the water want to be released from this hole, this water will be released. Okay, so that kind of infrastructure used to be there for most of the dams. So dams are mainly built in order to produce electricity by using water. That is something called as hydroelectricity, and that is a renewable source of energy. But this is not considered to be feasible because the land, the rehabilitations of the people, the destruction of your natural environment, all those cost of factors responsible for the construction of the dam becomes very high. Yes, the money you are going to earn will be more. Further, you are using a renewable source of energy, so you are not going to contribute any pollutions in the environment. But yes, there are another cost is attached to it. That is something called your environment cost. You are hampering the environment. You are rehabilitations of the people. You have to take care for all those people who lived into that area, like the tribal peoples and all. You have to take care for those peoples as well. So that kind of cost is also considered when you compare some infrastructure development in a particular area. So reservoirs created by dams not only suppress floods. So what are the reservoirs have been constructed are not going to suppress flood, but also provide water for activities such as irrigations, human consumption, industrial use, or navigations, or some aquaculture, like water related cultures activities and all. So that things can also be used. These dams can also be used for this purpose. So these are the benefits of it, but there are certain drawbacks for it also, and that drawbacks will leads to you cause a disaster. What is disaster? We will see in this coming slide. Just for clarification, I have explained the disasters as well. So the earliest known dams to us, to human beings, is a Java dam in Jordan that was dating to 3000 BC, that is before Christ. Okay, so that's what I just said. Quickly we will go through that, what to understand by disaster and what is hazard. So most of the times you will hear the terms hazard and the disaster. What is the difference between those terms? And after understanding those terms, we will go through this your dams related activities and the on the concepts. So disaster is nothing but your calamity, or like where the loss of human life happens. See, if there is a loss of life and property, then only we will call it as a disaster. Let us consider you will have one island. You don't know who lives on that island, which animals lives on that island, whether the human beings are there or not. And let us suppose the tsunami occurs on that island and it destroys most of the habitats over there, but you don't know. In that case, we will not call that islands is affected by a disaster. So disaster's basic definitions lies in that there must be a huge remove that huge also, there must be a loss to the life and property to the. Okay, so that is the difference between the disaster and the hazard. In disaster, there must be a loss to the life and the property, including your ecological balance or the peoples living there also. Okay, so disaster, calamity or catastrophe that can cause a huge loss of life and the property, including economic and ecological balance. Okay, economics like that, financial issues, and ecologicals like your human beings, animals, plants, trees, everywhere present. So that kind of damage will be considered as a disaster. It generally happens for a short period of time, and it will be a sudden, like your earthquake, like tsunami. All those things will be considered as a very short period of time, and many times sorry, many times community lacked resources on dealing with those disaster management. So we have a disaster management cycle as well, where what the steps we have to perform post disaster, what steps we have to do pre disaster, and what steps we have to take during those disaster. So that is something called as your disaster cycle, that will be taken into the separate lecture. I'll just give you a brief introduction about it. So that is something called disaster cycle, that's each country, every country should follow, and that's what India is following. After when it hits the tsunami around 2005, after that India has learned and it started to follow those kind of cycles and the projects. Okay, so those steps needs to be defined, what steps we have to prepare as a precautionary measure, what steps we have to take before the disaster, during disaster, and post disaster. Okay, so that is something of disaster management through the disaster cycle. So many times community lacked resources on dealing with the disaster management, where national help assist play a major role. So post disasters, what are the steps going to be taken by the country? That is something called as your post disaster steps, but in the country it is taken by the government, like nationals, what are the national officials or the governments are going to take steps, like in the rehabilitations of the people who have been affected by the disaster, first aids and all. So it has been said that natural disasters or a man-made disasters can have a huge loss to developing nations than developed nations. That is the one scenario, like developing nations used to face lots more destructions compared to a developed nations. Why? Because developing nations don't have that kind of equipments, technologies that the developed nations have. Developed nations have a huge, fast and furious kind of force that used to do that kind of different trainings, that have technologies that can impact, that can show their activity in a very short period of time. But for the developing nations, it is a huge loss, because there will be most of the people that are under the poverty lines. So that kind of scenarios, by considering those scenarios, it has been said that the huge loss happens to the developing nations. But with consider to India, we are overcoming all those steps. So now we will see what is hazards. You have seen disaster, now we will see what is hazard. After that we will see the distinctions between those things. So hazards will not be turned into disaster if it happens in an uninhabited place. So that I have said in the example, let us suppose there is an island, you don't know who lives on that island, what is the scenarios of that island, and some tsunamis occur. You will say it as a hazards, not as a disaster. So hazard will not be considered into disaster if it happens in an inhabited place. Example, earthquake and flood in the island where no people live. The regions become vulnerable, where it exposes to the risk of hazards. Okay, so the basic difference into that: disaster, loss to the life and property; hazard, if not loss to the life and property, you don't know that is the place habitat or not, you will call it as a hazard. So what is the distinction between the hazards and disaster? Same thing, there is no such thing called natural disaster. That is a very key mark point. There is no such thing that is called disaster, natural disaster. All will have a natural hazards. Why natural disaster? What I said, there is a definition: disaster happening to the loss of life and property. Natural, whatever things happen is natural only. Earthquake is natural, wind, that storm is coming is natural, soon that is cyclone is coming to a natural, tsunami is natural. But when it is natural disaster, when it affect the human life and property, then we used to call the term, coin a term as a natural disaster. But literally there is no such thing as a natural disaster. So all will have a natural hazards, like a earthquake. We have a natural hazards and we call it as a disaster when it affects life and property. So all we have things are natural disaster, like earthquakes, cyclones, floods, etc. It is just an event which is posing a threat to the community, and the hazard will turn into a disaster when there is a threat to the community, loss to the life and property. So the hazard will turn into disaster when a community will be severely affected by it and community does not have enough resources to cope up with the hazards. Okay, let us suppose a country coped with disaster, hazards, no effect to the life and property, nothing happened. We will not call it as a natural, we will not call it as a disaster only. Let us suppose tsunami happened, Nothing happened to the people, life and property. People were ready, people were safe, no loss to the economic, no loss to the buildings, no loss to the plants, nothing. It means it is a hazard, not disaster. So in another term, the impact of a disaster is determined by the calculating the vulnerability of the community to the particle hazard. So the coastal villages on the east coast of India largely vulnerable to the seasonal cyclones, and when it causes huge loss of life and property, we will call it as a disaster. So it means hazard is just an event or threat. Understand? I hope you understand better. If you have doubts, you can ping me. So what are the details of these dams? Now we are jumping into the dams. Okay, so this was the basic introductions that you must be there to understand all those terms coining into this lecture. Okay, so agings of the dams in India. Yeah, correct. Aging of the dams in India. So of the year 5,200 dams built so far throughout the world. No, I think India. Yeah. So over the period, 5,200 dams were built so far. About 1,100 large dams have already reached 50 years. I'm talking about India. This data is of India only. Sorry to go up. This around 5,000 plus dams have been constructed into the India, where about 1,100 dams are going to cross the 50 years of age, and some are older than 120 years. And just mark a point, the dams that we are going to construct, or we are constructing from previous time, it have years of 50 years or 100 years. Okay, some dams have reached 50 years and some dams are plus 100 years. So you can just make a guess like how that sensitive this thing is. If anything's happen, if any blockage or if any issues happen, what are the issues I will coin in the next slide, that will leads to a disaster for that area. Okay, so the number of such aging dams will increase. This aging of this 5,200 dams will increase to 4,400 by 2050. So right now it is 1,100, and it has been expected that it will increase to it will increase to 4,400 by 2050. So this means that 80% of the nation's large dams face the prospects of becoming obsolete by 2050. No use by 2050. It's plus 80%. Not even 50% we are talking about. It is 80%. The dams that we will have will be useless. So the situation of a medium and the minor dams even more precarious, as their shelf life is even lower than that of large dams. So the numbers of small dams will be more, or the medium dams, but the problem with those lands is that their life duration is even shorter than your large dams, because the expenditures that happen to the large dams, the designs, the architecture that has been happened to the large dams, the large number of scientists, large numbers of engineers, projectors, architects have been involved on those large projects. But in those smaller projects, they do not expend that much of time in the architectures, in the designing part, and ultimately we are going to see that those smaller dams are going to have a lesser period of time. But ideally it should have that those smaller dams should have a larger period, but it is not the case. Due to those defects, whatever the issues like the architecture issues, design issues, the aging of those smaller dams or the medium dams is lesser than your larger dams. So the aging signs include the increasing case of dam failure. So in those slides I have coined so many times your aging terms. Now these aging terms symbolize that you are more prone to dams failure. So progressively increasing cost of dam repairs. So let us suppose if the aging is going to be there, if aging of the dam is going to increase, so what are the steps that we can follow? So one is the scenario, we will repair those lands. Silting will be there, desilting will be there. We will talk in the next slide. So the progressively increasing cost of dams repairs and maintenance, increasing reservoir sedimentations and loss of dams functionalities and the effectiveness, those things can be done, but it will be economically expensive. So but these are the steps that we can do. Repairing of the dams, maintenance should be there. If maintenance is regularly happening for the dams the life of the dam will increase. Absolutely, the life of the dams will increase. But due to the lack of maintenance of the dams within the India, the age of the life of the dam is decreasing, and it is more prone for the disasters. So increasing reservoir sedimentation, what is this? We will see in the coming slide. So what is the siltation in the Indian reservoir? So what do you understand by siltation? First, see, I will explain you from the term of your river. So let us suppose this is your path of river. Okay, have you ever thought why river flows in sinusoidal way? What are the reasons behind sinusoidal way of flowing of the river water? Yes, due to the potential difference, there is the landsliding, that's why river is flowing. But why it is sinusoidal? If you see from the top of satellite, or if you have a drone type of cameras and all, you will see that river is actually flowing in the sinusoidal manner. What is the reason behind? The reason behind is always the siltation. What is the siltation? We'll see. See what happens when river flows in this direction, it will erode this area, it will erode these regions. Okay, it will erode these regions. And when river is flowing from that part, it means what? It is bringing some silt also. Silt means what? Debris, small stones, soils with it. So all those things are carried away by the water, and in that case the accumulations of the soils are happening in those areas. So in that, this happens like when this river come, it will hit that area, it will hit this wall, it will hit this wall, and ultimately you will get a bending kind of things here. And then again siltations happen. Here your siltation is being happening. Then when the siltation will happen, a river will stop flowing from that area. Why? The height of that land will increase. Let us suppose like this is your land, okay, and this is your river flowing. The height difference is this one. Now silting is coming up, soil is coming with that river. Ultimately what will happen? Soil level will increase, and ultimately what happens? This soil level will increase that much, your river will change the flow. Now the river path is become higher and the another land is downward. So what will happen? This water will flow down and the water will flow from this area. Okay, so that is something called siltation, and this river used to change its path over a period of time, and this is only because of siltation. Okay, now how this siltation is connected with your dam? Now what happens when the dam is constructed? Dam is what? Dam is constructed over the river only. River brings the silt with it, river brings the soil with it, river brings the debris, rocks with it, and ultimately all those rocks, debris, silts are getting accumulated over the dam's base. And now when the dam's base is being accumulated with your soils, with your silt, ultimately the capacity of the dam will reduce. I will explain it here. What happens? Let us suppose this is your dam, river is coming, river is flowing from that area. What happens? The river brings the soils, silts, debris, stones, everything. Now let us suppose this is being accumulated here. Now what happens? This is actual height of the dam was this one. Now due to the debris present over these areas, the height of the dam has been reduced, and that is something called siltation. And thus the holding capacity of the dams will reduce, and ultimately the objective from which you constructed the dam will also decrease, because the construction of dam is not only for the generation of the electricity, for the checking of the river water, checking of the floods and all, provide the irrigational water and all, those things also will be not achieved. Okay, so the main failure in Indian dams is that poor infrastructure designs, where we didn't care that much on the siltation part. Okay, and due to this only, dams are not proved to be that useful that it should be, the objectives from which it was constructed. So as dams age, soil replaces the water in the reservoir. This is technically known as a sediment, that I've explained it here. Sedimentation leads to the decrease in the storage capacity of the dams, as I've explained, and the observed siltation rates in India dams have been substantially very high. Why? Because the poor infrastructure, we didn't took care, we didn't give that attention to the siltation part. So Indian reservoirs are designed with a poor understanding of the sedimentation science. Understand, this is a very remarkable point, and this is not my word, this is generated by the reports only and from the other source as well. So Indian reservoirs are designed with a poor understanding of the sedimentation science. and the design underestimate the rate of siltation. So the design through which the dams was considered, the dams was made, in their design the rate of siltation was that the rate of siltation was underestimated. They considered that the siltation will not be that much of problem, it won't reduce that, but actually the siltation is the biggest problem. And further, they overestimated the life storage capacity that created. So both the things are wrong. First, the design, they underestimated the siltation part, and they overestimated the life storage of the capacity they created. And ultimately, when the siltation is going to be increased, your capacity of the dam will decrease. So both the objectives have been failed in this one attack only. Okay. So what are the consequences of aging of the dams in India? So water insecurity is one of the major concern. What is the water major insecurity? Why is considered to be as water insecurity? Because dams is considered for the irrigation purpose, for the agriculture purpose and all. It is considered for a water security only. But why it is considered to be as water insecurity? What are the concerns behind calling it as a water insecurity part? It is because it could impact on not only related economic activities like agriculture, but will also have other unwarranted environment impact, that is the other cost embedded with it. One, okay, we are considering it for economical activities like agriculture, but when the height of the dams has already decreased with the sedimentation, what water you are holding, what kind of water you are going to give to the agriculture, and when the rainfall will be high, dams used to leave all the water, no option with the dams, and ultimately when they leave all those water capacity that they were holding, the downstream areas are going to be flooded. And flood is not like that rainfall kind of flood. That floods have a high intensity, so it could impact on not only related to the economical activity like agriculture, but will also have other unwarranted environmental impacts. What are the environmental impacts? I will give you one scenario. When you are constructing a dam, okay, if it is a very large dam, water holding capacity will be more, and the weight that dams carries is very huge, and due to this all pressures of this dam is going to be exerted on your tectonic plates. Okay, all those things are going to be exerted on your plates, and ultimately when this pressure is huge, when this weight is huge, and after that there is slightly adjustment will take place beneath the earth. And what kind of adjustment between the tectonic plates. And what happens when the adjustment happens within the tectonic plates? That we call it as an earthquake. So you will hear a term sometimes, earthquake is a natural disaster. Yes, it is a natural disaster. Still now we are not going to touch it, we are not going to interact with it. This something called earthquake, that is caused by a human-made factor, man-made earthquake. So dam is one of the main reason behind the human-made earthquake. Okay, so when this dam constructed, when the dam is being constructed, water holding capacity will increase. If it is a large dam, ultimately weight, pressures on the base part, on the tectonic plates will be huge, and after that when the pressure will be huge, plates will try to readjust it, and when the adjustment will take place, it will cause earthquake. Okay, so it will lead further. That is one of the scenario that I explained, that the environmental impacts. Another environmental impacts will be like trees cuttings or rehabilitations of the people, tribal people, all those things will be considered. Second thing, it will lead to a lower water availability for the agriculture activities. If there is a less rainfall and electricity generation is required, they will hold the water, they will not give water to the downstream people. So that is also one of the reasons that will lead to the lower water availability for the agricultural activities. Further, it could affect the crop yield severely and disrupt the farmer income, as water is one of the crucial factors for the crop yield if they are checking the water during the less rainfall season. And when there is high rainfall, they will leave the water because the dam is full. And why the dam is full? Yes, if the capacity is high, dam is full. But one of the main reasons behind the dam is being full, siltation, less capacity due to siltation. Okay. So what are the flooding risks? Another scenario. That's just remember, this is the topic is concern consequences of the aging dams in India. So first is water insecurity, second that we will see, that is the flooding risk. So the high siltation rates in Indian dams reinforce the argument that the design flood cushions within several reservoirs across many river basins may have already depleted substantially, due to which floods may become more frequent downstreams of the dams. What is it telling? This is a dam, sedimentations happen. Now water holding capacity of the dam has been reduced. Ultimately, even if the less rainfall happens, these dams have to release the water. And when this water will be released, ultimately the people living at the downstream will have to face flood kind of situation. So that is one of the reasons, that is a flooding risk. Due to siltation, flooding risk is high. And why the siltation? Bad design. So the flooding of examples given, the cause of the flood due to this dam siltation: the flooding of Bharuch in 2020, Kerala 2018 and Chennai in the 2015 are a few examples of attributed downstream releases from reservoirs. So another risk of dam failure is one of the major concerns for the dam. If dam fails, just think what kind of disaster you are welcoming. What will be the impact of that disaster? Okay, so the flooding, internal erosion, seepage and structural instability and deterioration are among the reasons behind dams that will fall. Okay, so internal erosion, these things have been given as a natural kind of things. Let us suppose internal erosion happen within the soils and all. If natural, okay. Man-made, your dam is already a man-made things, and that is going to create a problem to you. And another, if there is internal erosion is going to be take place, dam failure will happen. Seepage, leakage will be there. Structural instability, poor designs, poor infrastructure, poor architectures. That will be the reason behind the risk of dam failure. The risk of dam failure will be high. By 2050, most people on the earth will live downstream. That population will increase downstream things. On the top regions, general peoples are not there. Top regions will be your mountainous regions and all. So the downstream of 10,000s of the large arms built in 20th century, many of them are already operating at beyond their design life. Beyond their design life, many of the dams are working still, and we have to check over it. Dam failures can result in the loss of lives, livelihoods, properties, that will ultimately lead to your what? Disaster. That will ultimately lead to your disaster, as well as the loss of ecosystem and the habitats to the flooding. And approximately 3.5 million people are at risk if India's Mullarpediyar Dam in Kerala, built over the 100 years ago, where if it is failed, around 3.5 million people are in risk. Okay, so that are the scenarios that can happen with the risk of the dam failure, and what are the reasons behind the risk of the dam failure that has been given. So that is one of the major concerns for the dam. Now, what are the steps that have been taken by the government, and what are the steps that government will take? Governments have observed those things, and now governments are thinking on it, and governments are taking steps as well. But before moving on to this concept, I will tell you one thing. India is a federal country. Okay, India have a state, India have a union territory. That is union government, state government and union government. There are certain things that have been given full rights to the state. There are certain things that have been given full right to the central government. Okay, two things. Now, with case of river water, the jurisdictions with the river will lies within the state government when river flows and ends within the entire state. If a river flows within the entire state, the jurisdictions, the constructions of dam, whatever the things will happen, will come under the jurisdictions of the state government. Okay. Second thing, if river flows between two states or river flows interstates, in that scenario central government will intervene. A state government will be included, but central government will intervene. So this is the two things that is always the concerns happening within the states that we will see in the Kaveri rivers and all. Now we will see what are the steps taken by the government. This was the concept. Take it in mind. It will help you in the coming slides or in this slide. So to strengthen the dam safety activities in India, the Union Cabinet approved the formation of Dam Rehabilitations and Improvement Project DRIP under the Ministry of Water Resources. Where all these things will lie? It will be labeled to those rivers where it flows between multiple states, more than one states, that is interstate. In that scenario these things will be applicable. Or there are another things in the provisions of the constitutions where if state want, a state will go to the central government to handle this, if any situation with their river, and in that case central government will snatch that power and central government will start to take decisions of the rivers within that state as well, and it will be completely liable to the central government to what time it wants to be control those areas or those parts. So that is a part of another constitutions. But till a normal scenario where this if there is an interstate river, central government will intervene. If a state river completely originates within the state, flows within the state, ends within the state, it will be under the jurisdictions of the state only. Okay, so this DRIP will be applicable to the interstate rivers. DRIP was initially launched in 2012 and the Union Cabinet announced the phase 2 and phase 3 of the dam rehabilitation and improvement project in October 2020. Okay, so this in two phases it has been announced, that is the phase 2 and the phase 3, and it was happening that is announced in October 2020, and it aims to provide a comprehensive rehabilitations of existing total around dams is 5,000 plus. In that 5,000 plus, the target is to rehabilitate 736 existing dams, old dams located across the country, and complements the Dam Safety Bill 2019. So what is the Dam Safety Bill? We will see. So they will implement those things on those 736 existing dams, old dams. Right now 5,000 plus dams we have through the Dam Safety Bill 2019. So what is this Dam Safety Bill? So the Dam Safety Bill aimed at developing uniform safety procedures for all dams. This Dam Safety Bill aimed to develop uniform, that is the same thing throughout the dams, throughout the country, has been introduced in the Lok Sabha for the third time. And it was first introduced in the Parliament in the August 2010 and was referred to a standing committee which submitted its report in June 2011, and after this attempt to pass the bill in the 15th and the 16th Lok Sabha, it failed due to the oppositions from the state. This was the information. Okay, what does this bill say? This Dam Safety Bill say? It provides, mark the word, it provides surveillance, inspection, operations and maintenance of the dam that prevent disaster, institutional mechanisms to ensure safety. So now these things they are going to implement on the old dams, most probably to the 736 dams. But now if the new dams is going to be constructed, they have to be labeled, they have to be marked by those mentioned terms. So it is applicable to all dams across the country which are over 10 meters in height, subjected to a specific design and structural conditions. So there are certain conditions, there are some guidelines that have been given with respect to the structure, design, architectures and all that they have to follow. It enables the setting of a National Committee on Dam Safety, NCDS, to formulate the policies and regulations regarding dam safety standard and to analyze the causes of major dam failure to suggest changes of the safety practices. This will also come under the Dam Safety Bill, where checking will be done, where they will check what kind of safety standards you are going to take, what are the safety standards we took and we failed. That kind of analyzations should be performed by whom? This National Committee on Dam Safety. This NCDS will perform those activities. A national dam safety authorizations will be set up. At the state level, it provides for the constitution of a state dam safety organization to take care of its dam, and State Committee on Dam Safety to review its work, among other things. As I have said, interstate and the state theory. So what are the objectives of this rehabilitations and improvement project? So the dam rehabilitations and the improvement projects was started off with the multiple objectives, mainly to improvise the functioning and the safety of the dams in India. And given below are the three main objectives of the DRIP: rehabilitations of the improvement of the existing dam, that is the old dams, and associated appurtenances, that is like related activities, related things with the dams, dam safety institutional strengthening in participating state and that central work committees. That is something coining term. I'm forgetting this term here. Remove this term. Okay, Google it, you will get to know. So dam full form I am just removing it. So the dam safety institutions strengthening participating state and central related stuffs and project managements are the objectives under this DRIP, that is rehabilitations and the improvement of the project. Okay, so the significance, please don't judge with that thing. I just missed this CWC part. Okay, so the significance of DRIP phase 2 and phase 3, the dams in India need to be administered and taken care of because of its constitution, a major part of the economic development in the country, and there are a few major factors which may need to be failures to be included. So in the starting only explained the importance of the dams, like it creates in the checking of the agricultures. It is one of the source for economic activities, generations of the electricity, hydroelectricity. One very important thing, that is a renewable source of energy. And as per our Paris Agreement, these things are adding a plus point. But right now we are shifting towards the solar energy generation, because the construction of dams and all is a huge thing, is a huge cost, not economical, by ecology also. Okay, because rehabilitation of the peoples are taken place, and as well those things are costly. Remove that financial part, the ecological part is also important one. Okay, so there are few main factors which may lead to the failures of dams. It includes structural deficiencies, lack of structures, architectures, designs, poor architecture, didn't think about any siltations, or you are underestimating the concept of siltation. That is something called structural deficiency. So if the core structure of the dam is not strong, the probability of its collapsing are very high. Thus proper maintenance is required. So like if you are maintaining the dam, closing the dam for a particular period of time, 1 month, you are giving a proper 1 month each year for cleaning the siltation part, plus point, the life of the dam will increase only, and further the cost will decrease if every year you are cleaning the dam. Plus point for you, because you are cleaning the dam, you are removing the siltation part, and ultimately the capacity of the dam is going to be increased, and every year you are doing it, so work will be less. Not well maintained, maintenance cost is ignored. So if a dam is not maintained well, there are chances for it to collapse. Not operated correctly, the poor maintenance, poor operations, the engineers that are operating it not maintained correctly, not proper guidelines they are following, security guidelines and all. So a complete system runs through to operate the dam correctly. So some agencies or institutions need to be appointed for maintaining the operations of the dams. There must be some institutions or the agency who will check what are the kind of operations that being performed by the dams, what are the steps they are being taken, what are the maintenance costs they are taking, and as all. So those things are important part, will be considered in this phase 2 and phase 3 of this rehabilitations project. The project will target to ensure the rehabilitations of the dams in the country is done appropriately or not, and they are maintained well enough for their proper functioning in the future as well. So the rehabilitations of the dam will be taken care. Further, they will check whether they will be viable for the future use as well. And for in the coming days, if new dam is constructed, I don't think that the government will go for the new dam. If it is being constructed, these measures will be taken care. Okay. So DRIP phase 2 and phase 3 will aim at management and the maintenance. Explained earlier, since new dams which are being constructed in the country will also be maintained by the DRIP, as I said, proper management and maintenance is mandatory. And technical efficiencies, that the focus shall be on the technical installations as well dams, so that it can function as well. There must be a proper software that will check the water capacities, what are the siltations, where siltations are present. Those things can be monitored through the technologies in the computer systems and all. Okay, so that proper siltations and measures what are the capacities are being held, those things will be taken care. Strict measures and actions, it is important that a well managed structure is followed. A set of rules and regulations must be there for proper functioning, and the suggestions have been given by the expert. There must be an agency who will check all those things being followed by the dams or not. Okay, so what will be the way forward? Okay, so the India have to find sufficient water in the 21st century to feed their populations. Okay, rising population by 2050, grow abundant crops, population will rise. Absolutely, population will rise. We can't expect that population is going to be reduced. And right now India is on the youth stage. That is the population graph, population pyramid. That is another concept in the economic part. Leave it here. Okay, so the grow abundant crops, create sustainable cities, and ensure development by 2050. So there is a need of sufficient water to the 21st century, so we have to be take care for those dams as well. So it is imperative for all stakeholders to come together to address this issue as the aging of dams, and dam decommissioning should be there. If dam is not useful, just decommission it, otherwise you are inviting another disaster for a country. So the dam decommissioning should be seen as an equally important as the dam constructions. Okay, if we are giving importance to the dam constructions, then we have to be sure that after aging of the dams we have to be decommission it if it is not useful. If you are living in a house that have an age of 100 years, after 100 years if you are finding that this house is not useful, you have to break that house. Even if before 100 years, if the life of the house is decreased, you have to demolish it. So that kind of concept is telling about the dam decommissioning as well. If the dam's age is completed, or if it is not working properly before the age only, you have to decommission it, otherwise you are inviting another disaster and there will be huge loss to life and property. So the dam decommissioning should be treated as equally important as dam building in the overall planning process on the water storage infrastructure developments. Public safety, excavation, maintenance costs, reservoir sedimentation, restoration of natural river ecosystem are among the reasons driving decommission throughout the world. Nothing to explain it here. And alternatively, solution to water security should be there, that there is also the need consider the other alternatives like a smaller dams. Construction of large dam is a huge cost. Even if it fails, huge loss of life and property. If we are the Delhi government has taken a step to recharging the groundwater capacity in the Yamuna river, so that kind of a step should be taken care. Otherwise we are inviting a situation like metropolitan city flood, as the flood happens in the year 2020 in Hyderabad. Okay, why that kind of flood happens? All the roads within the street is concrete based. Outside your house also you will see concrete based road. What happens when the concrete based road is there? Where the water will be absorbed? There is no soil. Water will be on your road side only. If there is a poor drainage, very good, water will be in the roadside only, in the street only, and that will create a situation of flood. That's what a term metropolitan flood city. I have taken a video over that also, you can watch it. So there is some few facts related to this dam. Accident, disaster. First disaster, human-made disaster. Earthquake happened due to the dams present in your Maharashtra, Koyna dams, which created a earthquake of around 6.6 Richter scale. Okay, so the 1960 of Koynagar earthquake occurred near Koynagar town in the Maharashtra, India on 11 December local time. The magnitude of 6.6 shock with a maximum Mercalli intensity of 8. It is occurred near the site of Koyna dam, and 177 lives were hampered, claimed to be less, and injured over 2,000. So this is something called, you are inviting construction of the dam, you are inviting earthquake, as the weight over that land will increase. If it is will be huge, with pressure on that land will be huge if it is a large dam, and ultimately the plates will try to readjust it and it will cause a reason behind your earthquake. And this is something called a definition of what is this induced seismic activities. Like when you give a pressure, then seismic activities will take place. Okay, no need to remember it, this is for the sake of completion of the information, this is just a fact. Another fact 2, Major dams in India. Highest dam in India is your Tehri Dam, that is in Uttarakhand. Longest dam in India, that is in Odisha, that is the Hirakund Dam. And the oldest dam, Tamil Nadu, Kalani Dam. Okay, year of completion 100 BC to the 100 AD. Okay, this was of the 1953 longest dam, and it is of 2006, that is the Tehri Dam, that is Uttarakhand. And fact 3, the list of the major dams in India have been given here. You can take the screenshot of it, or if you want the PPT, you can ping me over the Twitter handle. Okay, so that's it was in the lecture. I hope you will understand this lecture. Please like and subscribe. Your subscription is a form of payment for me. If you want any on demand video lecture, please feel free to ping on my Twitter handle. Thank you.